Commander Kim stared at the glowing screen, his eyes wide with shock. The message was simple, but impossible. You chose wrong. It came from Earth, a planet the Galactic Confederation had been watching from afar for centuries. "Run the analysis again," Kim ordered, his voice steady despite his racing heart. The technicians around him worked quickly, their fingers moving across control panels with practiced precision. "Sir, the results are the same," said Officer Lee after a moment. "The transmission originated from Earth. It's being broadcast on frequencies we thought humans couldn't access. The signal strength is unprecedented." Kim paced the circular command center of the Intelligence Division's headquarters. The space was dimly lit, illuminated mainly by the blue glow of screens displaying data from across the galaxy. Earth's message blinked on the main display, 3 words that threatened to upend decades of Confederation policy. "Contact the High Council immediately," Kim said. "This requires their attention." As his staff scrambled to establish the connection, Kim reviewed what he knew about Earth. The planet had been classified as Level 3, a civilization with significant technological advancement but lacking the stability and wisdom to join the galactic community. Earth had nuclear weapons, primitive space travel capabilities, and a troubling history of warfare. The Confederation's observation posts had documented countless human conflicts, environmental disasters, and social upheavals. 30 years ago, when the Confederation was expanding its diplomatic reach to this sector of the galaxy, they had considered Earth as a potential contact point. The debate had been short. Evidence of humanity's violent tendencies and self-destructive behaviors was overwhelming. Instead, they had chosen to make first contact with the gentle aquatic beings of Proxima Centauri, a nearby star system with a species that valued harmony above all else. Earth was placed under a containment protocol, watched but never contacted. The Confederation would wait until humans either destroyed themselves or evolved beyond their aggressive nature. "Commander, we have the Council," announced Officer Lee. The main screen flickered and 5 faces appeared. The High Council members representing the 5 founding species of the Confederation. Their expressions ranged from concerned to alarmed. "Explain this signal, Commander Kim," said Counselor Choi. Her silver-scaled face caught the light as she spoke. "Earth has somehow developed broadcast technology far beyond our projections." Kim explained. "They've sent a message to the entire galaxy. You chose wrong. We believe they are referring to our decision to bypass them for first contact 30 years ago." "Impossible," said Counselor Song, the oldest member of the Council. His translucent body pulsed with blue light as he spoke. "Earth's technological progress has been carefully monitored. They are at least a century away from developing such capabilities." "Evidently, our assessments were incorrect," Kim replied. "The signal bypassed all our security protocols. It reached even our most distant outposts simultaneously." The Council members exchanged worried glances. This was unprecedented. A Level 3 civilizations should not have been able to detect the Confederation's presence, let alone develop technology that could breach their communication networks. "Could this be a natural phenomenon being misinterpreted?" asked Counselor Park. Her 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "No," Kim said firmly. "The message is clear in standard galactic common language. They know about us. They know we've been watching them, and they know we chose not to contact them." A heavy silence fell over the Council members. The implications were staggering. The Confederation's observation of pre-contact species was supposed to be undetectable. If Earth had discovered their surveillance, what else had they learned? "I recommend an immediate reconnaissance mission," Kim continued. "We need to understand how they acquired this technology." The Council approved his request without debate, a rare occurrence that underscored the severity of the situation. Within hours, Kim had assembled a team of the Confederation's best scouts and scientists. They boarded the stealth vessel Whisper, designed to approach even the most advanced worlds without detection. As the ship prepared for departure, Kim reviewed the latest data on Earth. The reports showed the same patterns as always: regional conflicts, environmental challenges, political divisions. Nothing in the standard observations indicated a technological leap that could explain the transmission. "Commander," said Captain Min, the Whisper's pilot, "all systems are ready. We can depart whenever you give the order." Kim nodded. "Begin launch sequence." The Whisper lifted silently from the docking bay, its engines emitting no visible light or radiation. Within moments they entered faster than light travel, the stars stretching into lines around them. In the ship's conference room, Kim briefed his team of 6 specialists. "Earth has been under observation for 457 standard years," he explained, projecting a holographic image of the blue planet. "In that time, they've advanced from primitive steam technology to basic space exploration. Their development has been rapid but unstable." Dr. June, the team's anthropologist, raised her hand. "Commander, I've reviewed the historical data. Earth's technological growth has always been accelerated during periods of conflict. Could they have detected us and perceived a threat?" Kim considered this. "Possibly. But our observation protocols have never been breached before, not even by civilizations far more advanced than Earth." "There's something else," added Officer Ba, the communication specialist. "The signal used quantum entanglement principles that even our most advanced systems struggle with. Earth shouldn't have this knowledge for at least another 500 years, according to our projections." The team fell silent, contemplating the implications. Either the Confederation's understanding of human capabilities was fundamentally flawed, or something extraordinary had happened on Earth. As the Whisper approached Earth's solar system, they activated their most sophisticated cloaking technologies. They would observe from a distance first, gathering data before deciding on their next steps. "Coming out of faster-than-light travel now," announced Captain Min. "Solar system entry in 3, 2, 1. The view screen showed Earth's sun with its planets orbiting in familiar patterns. Everything seemed normal until they focused their sensors on Earth itself. The commander called the sensor operator, her voice tight with alarm. "You need to see this." Kim moved to her station and looked at the readings. The data couldn't be right. He ordered a system diagnostic. "The systems are functioning correctly," reported the technician. "These readings are accurate. Earth's orbit was filled with structures that shouldn't exist. Massive energy collectors, defense platforms, and what appeared to be shipyards. None of these had been visible to the Confederation's observation satellites that constantly monitored the planet." "How is this possible?" Kim whispered, more to himself than to his crew. The answer came moments later when their sensors detected an approaching vessel, an Earth vessel, moving at speeds that matched the Whisper's own capabilities. A communication request flashed on their screens. Against all protocols, Captain Min looked to Kim for guidance. "Accept it," Kim ordered. The Confederation's first contact with Earth was happening now, whether they were prepared or not. The screen flickered, and a human face appeared, calm, confident, and unsurprised. The human spoke in perfect Galactic common. "Commander Kim of the Galactic Confederation Intelligence Division, we've been expecting you. You should know that your stealth technology is quite advanced, but we detected your approach the moment you entered our solar system." Kim's mind raced. The human knew his name, his position. "How is this possible?" "Your civilization is not what you thought it was," the human replied with a slight smile. "You classified us as level 3, primitive and unstable. You chose to isolate us rather than help us. That was your mistake." The human's expression hardened. "You chose wrong." As the implications sank in, Kim realized that the Confederation's carefully ordered understanding of the galaxy had just been shattered. Earth wasn't just sending a message, it was issuing a challenge. The Whisper drifted silently through Earth's orbit, its cloaking systems operating at maximum capacity. Commander Kim stood rigid at the command center, his face illuminated by the glow of monitoring screens. What he saw outside the ship windows left him speechless. "This is impossible," whispered Officer Bob beside him. Earth's orbit bustled with activity that shouldn't exist. Massive space stations floated gracefully around the planet. Satellites, much more advanced than anything the Confederation had seen in this sector, moved in precise formations. Energy collectors larger than small moons harvested solar radiation with perfect efficiency. "Our report said they barely had primitive space stations," said Dr. June, checking her datapad against the reality before them. "The last update showed they had just begun establishing a permanent base on their moon." Kim zoomed in on one of the structures. It was clearly a shipyard with vessels under construction that appeared sleek and formidable. "Full sensor sweep," Kim ordered. "I want to know everything about these structures." The crew worked quickly, but after several minutes, the sensor chief looked up with confusion. "Sir, our scans can't penetrate their outer hulls. They're using some kind of material we've never encountered before." Kim frowned. "That's not possible. Our sensors can analyze any known material in the galaxy." "Not this one, sir." A sudden alert sounded from the communications station. Officer Bob looked up with alarm. "Commander, they're hailing us." "Again? How?" "Our cloaking technology. They can see us, sir. Somehow they can see us." Kim swallowed hard. "Put them through." The main screen flickered to life, showing a calm-looking human woman in a blue uniform. "Commander Kim," she said with a slight nod. "I am Admiral Sue, Earth Defense Command. Your observation is unnecessary. If you wish for information, we invite you to dock at Station Alpha. We will answer your questions directly." Kim hesitated. This wasn't protocol. Making direct contact with Earth wasn't his decision to make. But they had already been detected, and refusing might worsen an already complicated situation. "We accept your invitation, Admiral," he said finally. The transmission ended, and Kim turned to his senior officers. "Prepare a landing team. Full security protocols." As the Whisper approached the massive station designated Alpha, Kim felt a growing unease. Nothing about this situation aligned with Confederation intelligence. Earth should be centuries away from building something of this scale. The docking procedure was flawless. Earth systems matched perfectly with their own, another impossibility. As the airlock opened, Kim led a team of 5 officers into the station. They were greeted by Admiral Sue and 4 other humans, all wearing the same blue uniforms with different insignia. "Welcome to Station Alpha," said Admiral Sue. "Please follow me." The station's interior was a marvel of engineering, clean, efficient, with technology that appeared both familiar and strangely advanced. Kim noticed his science officer discreetly scanning everything with a handheld device. They entered a large conference room with windows overlooking Earth. The view was breathtaking. The blue planet turning slowly below them, its surface a mixture of oceans, land masses, and city lights. "You are confused," Admiral Sue said, gesturing for them to sit at a large table. "That is understandable. You expected to find us much as you left us, struggling with primitive rockets and fighting among ourselves. Your technological advancement is unexpected," Kim said carefully. Admiral Sue smiled. "We've known about the Confederation for 23 years. One of your observation vessels crashed in an uninhabited region. We recovered it before your retrieval teams arrived." Kim felt a chill. No such incident had ever been reported. "That's not possible. Any such event would be in our records. Your leadership decided not to record it." Admiral Sue replied, "Just as they decided not to inform junior officers like yourself about many things." She touched a control on the table, and a holographic display appeared showing documents with Confederation seals. Kim recognized them immediately. Classified reports, security assessments, council minutes. Documents he should never have seen, and certainly nothing humans should possess. "From the crashed ship's databases, we learned many things," Admiral Sue continued. "We learned that we were being watched. We learned that your Confederation had deemed us unworthy of contact. And most importantly, we learned why." Kim's science officer John leaned forward. "This technology is beyond what you could have reverse engineered from a simple observation vessel." "True." Admiral Sue nodded. "The ship gave us a starting point. But what truly accelerated our progress was the knowledge of what we faced. For the first time in human history, We had a common purpose: to prepare ourselves for a galaxy that had already judged us. She touched another control, and the hologram changed to show images of humans working together. Scientists from nations that Kim knew were historical enemies, political leaders sitting at the same table, resources being shared across borders. The threat of being permanently isolated united us, Admiral Sue explained. Nations that had fought for centuries found common ground. The knowledge that we were not alone and that we had been found wanting changed everything. Kim processed this information slowly. But how did you hide all this? He gestured toward the window indicating the orbital structures. Our observation posts have been monitoring Earth continuously. Admiral Sue smiled again. We let you see what you expected to see. Once we understood your scanning technology, creating false readings was simple. Your observers saw what confirmed their biases, a fragmented, struggling world. Meanwhile, we built this. She swept her hand toward the window. One of the other humans, a man with a different insignia, spoke up. Commander Kim, I am Director Jin from the Earth Science Division. There's something else you should know. Director Jin activated another holographic display showing complex molecular structures. When we accessed your databases, we discovered something troubling. Earth contains resources unique in the galaxy. Our biology contains genetic adaptations found nowhere else. Kim's medical officer gasped softly beside him. The Fora sequence, she whispered. Director Jin nodded. Yes. Our DNA contains natural immunity to the Fora plague that has devastated 12 species in the Confederation. Something in our evolutionary path created this resistance. According to your own records, this immunity could have saved millions of lives. Kim suddenly felt cold. That information would be highly classified. Only the highest levels of Confederation leadership would have access. Yes, Admiral Sue said. The same leadership that decided to isolate Earth rather than risk contact with us violent humans. The same leadership that watched millions of their own people die rather than reach out to the one world that could have helped them. The implications were staggering. If humans had access to this level of classified information, what else did they know? We've been monitoring your communications as well, Admiral Sue continued, answering his unspoken question. We know about the Confederation's policies on primitive worlds. We know about other civilizations that were deemed unworthy of contact and left to face extinction-level events alone. Kim struggled to maintain his composure. If what you're saying is true, it is, interrupted Admiral Sue. And now we face a choice. For years, we debated what to do with this knowledge. Many wanted to remain hidden, to continue building our strength until we could force the Confederation to acknowledge us as equals. Others wanted immediate confrontation. She looked Kim directly in the eyes. In the end, we chose a third path. The message we sent, you chose wrong, wasn't just an accusation. It was an invitation. An invitation to what? Kim asked. To reconsider, Admiral Sue replied. The Confederation chose isolation over cooperation, fear over hope. We're inviting you to choose differently. Kim looked at his team. Their expressions reflected his own internal conflict, shock, disbelief, and growing comprehension. I need to report to the Council, Kim said finally. Admiral Sue nodded. Of course. But before you do, there's something you should see. She led them to another section of the station, a large medical facility. Inside, patients from various Confederation species received treatment from human doctors. These are refugees, Admiral Sue explained. Victims of the Fora plague who reached out to us in desperation after conventional treatments failed. We've developed a cure using our natural immunity. Kim recognized a child from the Talari species, a race particularly devastated by the plague. The child was playing happily, clearly recovered. How many know about this? Kim asked quietly. More than your council would like, Admiral Sue answered. Word is spreading throughout the Confederation. That's why we sent our message now. The truth can no longer be contained. As they walked back to the docking bay, Kim's mind raced. Everything he thought he knew about Earth, about the Confederation's policies, even about his own role in galactic affairs, had been upended in a single day. "What happens now?" he asked as they reached the Whisper. Admiral Sue's expression was both firm and kind. "That depends on what you decide to tell your council, Commander, and on what they decide to do about it." As the door to his ship closed behind him, Kim knew that the report he was about to make would change the course of galactic history forever. Earth wasn't just speaking to the Confederation. It was challenging the very foundations on which it was built. The message "you chose wrong" echoed through every Confederation communication system for the third straight day. Attempts to block it had failed. The mysterious signal from Earth could not be silenced. In the Grand Chamber of the Confederation Council, 200 representatives from across the galaxy gathered in an emergency session. The massive room, with its high ceilings and ancient symbols of unity carved into stone walls, had never been so tense. Commander Kim stood before them, finishing his report about what he had witnessed in Earth's orbit. His voice echoed in the suddenly silent chamber. "Humans have technology that matches or exceeds our own in many areas," he concluded. "And they possess information that should have been impossible for them to access." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Counselor Song pounded his gavel for order. "This is unacceptable," declared Counselor Choi, her scales flashing with anger. "A Level 3 civilization should not have detected our presence, let alone develop such capabilities." Ambassador Park, newly appointed to handle the Earth situation, rose from her seat. She was tall and graceful, with the silver-tinted skin common to her species. "The evidence suggests two possibilities," she said calmly. "Either our classification of Earth was fundamentally flawed, or something has interfered with their natural development." "The humans claim they recovered one of our observation vessels," Commander Kim added. "They say they accessed our databases." More murmurs, louder this time. "Impossible," said Counselor Song. "Our security protocols may not be as robust as we believed," Ambassador Park interrupted. "We must face facts. The humans know about us. They know we chose to isolate them, and they have made their displeasure known to the entire galaxy." The council debated for hours. Some advocated for immediate military action to neutralize the human threat. Others suggested a complete withdrawal from Earth's sector, abandoning the observation posts entirely. Ambassador Park listened patiently, then stood again. "I propose a third option," she said. "Direct diplomatic contact. I will lead a mission to Earth and speak with their leaders face to face." "Too dangerous," objected Counselor Choi. "If their technology is as advanced as Commander Kim reports, then they could have attacked us already." Ambassador Park pointed out. "They haven't. They sent a message instead. We should answer it." After more debate, the council approved her plan, but with a condition. Ambassador Park's diplomatic vessel would be accompanied by 3 of the Confederation's most powerful warships, just in case. 2 days later, Ambassador Park stood on the bridge of the diplomatic vessel Harmony as it approached Earth's solar system. Through the view screen, she could see the 3 massive warships flanking them: the Protector, the Guardian, and the Sentinel. Each was capable of devastating an entire planet. "Ambassador," said the communications officer, "we're being hailed by Earth Defense Command." "Open the channel," Park replied. The screen showed a human man in a dark uniform with gold markings on the shoulders. "This is Admiral Han of Earth Defense Command," he said. "You are entering protected space with warships. State your intentions immediately." Ambassador Park stepped forward. "I am Ambassador Park of the Galactic Confederation. I come seeking peaceful dialogue regarding recent events." Admiral Han's expression remained neutral. "Your warships suggest otherwise, Ambassador." "A precaution only," she assured him. "We mean no harm." "Then you won't object to keeping your fleet at the edge of our solar system," Han replied. "Your diplomatic vessel alone may approach Earth." Ambassador Park hesitated. The Council had ordered the warships to stay with her for protection, but refusing Han's terms would likely end any chance of diplomatic progress. "Agreed," she said finally. "Where shall we meet?" Neutral ground, Han answered. We have a station orbiting our moon. Coordinates are being transmitted now. As the Harmony separated from its escort and continued toward Earth, Ambassador Park prepared for the meeting. She studied everything the Confederation knew about humans, trying to understand their psychology, their values, their motivations. The station orbiting Earth's moon was smaller than she expected, but impressively constructed. The Harmony docked without incident, and Park led a small delegation of 5 advisors into the station. They were escorted to a conference room with a large window overlooking the cratered surface of the moon. Earth hung in the distance, a beautiful blue sphere. Admiral Han entered with 2 other humans. His uniform was impeccable. His posture is straight and confident. Ambassador Park, he said with a slight bow. Welcome to Luna Station. Thank you for agreeing to this meeting, Admiral, she replied. They sat at a round table, deliberately designed so no one position seemed more important than others. Your message has been received throughout the galaxy, Ambassador Park began. Your technological achievements are impressive, yet unexpected, Han added. Because you underestimated us. We classified Earth based on observable data, Park explained. Your technological level, your political structures, your social development. You watched us like animals in a zoo. Han interrupted, his voice still calm, but carrying an edge now. You studied our wars, our diseases, our climate disasters, and chose to let us face extinction rather than offer assistance. While your scientists catalogued our species like specimens, we were fighting to survive. Ambassador Park maintained her diplomatic composure. Your species' violent history was exactly why we needed guidance. Han interrupted again. Instead, you chose wrong. You abandoned us to our fate. So we saved ourselves. Park's advisors shifted uncomfortably in their seats. This was not how diplomatic meetings typically progressed in the Confederation. Admiral Han, Park tried again. The Confederation's non-interference policy exists for good reasons. History has shown that premature contact with developing civilizations often leads to cultural collapse or dependency. Han placed his hands flat on the table. We know about the Riven species, he said quietly. Park felt a chill run through her. The Riven situation was highly classified. The Rivens were facing a natural disaster that would have destroyed their civilization. Han continued. A simple warning from the Confederation could have saved millions of lives. Instead, you watched them die because they were deemed not ready for contact. How do you know about this? One of Park's advisors demanded. The same way we know about the 12 other species the Confederation chose to let perish, Han replied. Your databases are quite comprehensive. Ambassador Park realized she was facing a diplomatic situation unlike any in Confederation history. The humans knew too much. The standard diplomatic approaches wouldn't work. Admiral Han, she said, abandoning her prepared talking points. If what you say is true, then we have much to discuss about Confederation policies. But first, I need to understand your intentions. What does Earth want from us? Han exchanged glances with his colleagues, then looked back at Park. Accountability, he said simply. Recognition of past mistakes and a commitment to change. Change in what way? The Confederation claims to represent the united species of the galaxy, Han explained. Yet it operates on principles of secrecy, exclusion, and arbitrary judgment. We want an open confederation. One that helps developing worlds rather than merely observing them. One that shares knowledge rather than hoarding it. Ambassador Park was silent for a moment. What Han proposed would fundamentally transform the Confederation's most basic principles. It would upend thousands of years of established protocol. Such changes would require consensus among all member worlds, she said finally. The Council would never. The Council's authority is already being questioned, Han interrupted. Your secrecy is failing, Ambassador. We aren't the only ones who have received information from your databases. As if on cue, an aide entered and handed Han a data pad. He glanced at it, then slid it across the table to Park. On the screen was a news report from the Confederation world. Protesters filled the streets carrying signs with Earth's message. You chose wrong. This is happening in 17 worlds right now, Han said quietly. The truth is spreading. Ambassador Park looked up from the pad, meeting Han's steady gaze. Admiral, she said, what exactly do you want me to tell the Council? Tell them it's time for a choice, Han replied. They can fight a losing battle to maintain the old order, or they can work with us to build something better. Tell them Earth is ready to join the galactic community, but only as equals, not as subjects to be studied. Park considered his words carefully. In her long diplomatic career, she had never faced such a direct challenge, but she also recognized the opportunity it presented. I will convey your message, she said finally, but I cannot promise how the Council will respond. Admiral Han nodded. We understand, but remind them of this. The message we sent could have been a weapon instead of words. We chose communication over conflict. We hope the Confederation will make a similar choice. As Ambassador Park returned to her ship, she gazed out at Earth one last time. The planet that had been dismissed as primitive had just changed the course of galactic politics forever, and the real confrontation, she knew, was just beginning. Commander Kim stood at the window of the Intelligence Division headquarters, watching ships leave the spaceport below. Not military vessels or official transports, but civilian ships, thousands of them, streaming away from the Confederation capital toward Earth and its allies. Another 3 worlds have officially withdrawn from the Confederation, reported Officer Lee, placing the datapad on Kim's desk. The Terran coalition now includes 172 former Confederation planets. Kim nodded silently. In just 30 days, the galactic order that had stood for thousands of years was falling apart. The first signs appeared just hours after Ambassador Park's return from Earth. News of the meeting with Admiral Han leaked to public networks. Then came the revelations. Classified files showing Confederation leaders had deliberately withheld aid from developing worlds, had allowed preventable plagues to run their course, had permitted natural disasters to destroy entire civilizations, all in the name of non-interference. Protests erupted first on newer member worlds, then spread to the core systems. When Confederation forces attempted to suppress the demonstrations, something unexpected happened. The protesters used communication technology that security forces couldn't block, Earth technology. The Council is meeting again, Lee said, interrupting Kim's thoughts. They've requested your presence. The Council chamber, once the most magnificent room in the galaxy, now felt hollow. Only 23 council members remained of the original 200. The others had either resigned in disgrace or departed to join the growing Terran coalition. Councillor Song, one of the few original still present, looked aged beyond his years. His normally bright blue glow had dimmed to a pale flicker. Commander Kim, he said as Kim entered, your latest intelligence report. Kim activated the central display, showing a map of the galaxy. Nearly half the systems were highlighted in green, planets that had joined Earth's coalition. The situation continues to develop rapidly, Kim said. Earth has established what they call knowledge exchanges on 83 worlds. They're freely sharing technology that we've restricted for centuries. Dangerous technology, muttered Counselor Choi. They'll destroy themselves. With respect, Counselor Kim replied. The evidence suggests otherwise. The medical technology they shared has already cured the Phora plague on 17 worlds. Their energy systems have ended resource conflicts in the Outer Rim, and their communication network has connected species that haven't spoken in generations. They're buying loyalty with gifts, Counselor Song said bitterly. No, came a voice from the doorway. Ambassador Park entered looking tired but determined. They're sharing without expectation of return. That's the fundamental difference between their approach and ours. The council members fell silent. Park had just returned from her 3rd meeting with Earth's leaders. They've invited the remaining Confederation worlds to join them, she announced. Not as subjects, but as equals. They're calling for a galactic assembly where all species, regardless of technological development, will have a voice. Madness, whispered Counselor Song. The primitive worlds lack the wisdom to that kind of thinking is why we're losing, Park interrupted sharply. The primitive worlds, as you call them, have shown more wisdom than we have. Earth was considered violent and unstable, yet when they discovered our deception, they chose diplomacy over war. Commander Kim activated another display showing a massive Earth fleet that had assembled near a former Confederation outpost. Our military analysis confirms that Earth could have launched a devastating first strike against our key worlds, he said quietly. Their weapons technology exceeds our defensive capabilities, yet they haven't fired a single shot. The room fell silent again as the council members absorbed this information. We have one final chance to meet with their leadership, Ambassador Park said. Admiral Han has offered to receive a Confederation delegation on Earth itself. I believe we should accept. 3 days later, Kim found himself walking on Earth's surface, something no Confederation official had ever done before. The delegation had been transported to a building called the Global Unity Center in a city known as Geneva. The building was beautiful in its simplicity, open spaces, natural light, and representatives from every human nation working together. Admiral Han greeted them personally, leading them to a circular chamber where Earth's Leadership Council waited. "Welcome to Earth," said a woman who introduced herself as Director Kang. "We appreciate your willingness to meet with us." The meeting that followed was unlike any diplomatic exchange in Confederation history. The humans didn't posture or threaten. They simply shared their vision for a different kind of galactic community, one built on cooperation rather than control. "We've compiled evidence of 1,327 instances where Confederation policy directly caused suffering that could have been prevented," Admiral Han explained, displaying case after case on large screens. Species that could have been saved from natural disasters, diseases that could have been cured, wars that could have been prevented with simple knowledge sharing. Commander Kim watched the Confederation representatives' faces as they absorbed the evidence. Most looked shocked or ashamed. A few seemed angry, but none could deny the truth before them. "What do you want from us?" Counselor Song asked finally, his voice barely above a whisper. "Nothing," Admiral Han replied simply. "We don't want surrender or submission. We don't seek punishment for past actions. We want partnership." Director Kang stepped forward. "The new coalition operates on 3 principles. Knowledge belongs to all. Assistance is freely given to those in need. And every species has a voice in matters that affect them. And if we refuse, ask Counselor Choi." Admiral Han's expression remained neutral. "Then the Confederation will continue to exist alongside the coalition. But ask yourselves this: which system would you choose to live under?" The meeting continued for hours as the humans explained their vision in detail. Kim found himself increasingly convinced by their arguments. The old Confederation ways suddenly seemed outdated and cold compared to Earth's approach. As the delegation prepared to depart, Admiral Han took Commander Kim aside. "We know you were one of the first to understand," he said quietly. "Your reports to the Council were honest, even when the truth was uncomfortable." Kim nodded. "I followed my duty." "And what does your duty tell you now?" Han asked. Kim considered the question carefully. "That the Confederation as it exists cannot survive, and perhaps it shouldn't." Han smiled slightly. "There would be a place for you in the coalition, Commander. Your skills and experience would be valued." Before Kim could respond, alarms sounded throughout the building. An aide rushed to Admiral Han, whispering urgently in his ear. Han's expression darkened. "It seems some of your colleagues disagree with peaceful transition," he said to Kim. 3 Confederation warships have just entered Earth's atmosphere, weapons hot. Kim felt his heart sink. "Which ships?" "The Protector, the Guardian, and the Sentinel," Han replied. "The same ships that had escorted Ambassador Park on her first visit." Kim knew their commanders, old guard military leaders, who would see Earth's rise as an unacceptable threat. "Let me speak to them," Kim offered. "I might be able to convince them to stand down." "There's no time," Han said, looking at a data screen. "They'll be in firing range of major population centers in minutes." Kim expected panic, but instead, Han calmly touched a communication device on his wrist. Activate planetary defense network, non-lethal protocols. Outside, the sky suddenly shimmered as an energy field became visible surrounding the entire planet. On the display screens around them, Kim watched as the 3 Confederation warships, the most powerful weapons in the galaxy, simply stopped moving. Their engines still burned, but they made no progress. Then, one by one, their systems went dark. "What did you do to them?" gasped Counselor Choi. "Selective energy dampening," Han explained. "Their crews are unharmed, but their ships are disabled." Director Kang turned to the Confederation delegation. "We could have destroyed them," she said quietly. "We have the capability, but that would make us what you feared we were, violent, aggressive, destructive. Instead, we chose differently." The message was clear. Earth could have crushed the Confederation at any time, but had chosen peace instead. That evening, as the remaining council members debated their response, a final transmission from Earth reached every communication device in Confederation space. "You chose isolation and control. We choose connection and freedom. The galaxy deserves better than your fear. You chose wrong. We're choosing differently. Join us in building something better." Within a week, the last Confederation worlds voted to join the new coalition. The 1,000-year-old Galactic Order was gone. 6 months later, Commander Kim stood in a different chamber, the Great Assembly of the Galactic Coalition. Representatives from over 500 worlds filled the room, many from species that had never before had a voice in galactic affairs. At the center podium stood Director Kang and Admiral Han, but they were not alone. Leaders from dozens of worlds stood with them, forming the new Coalition Council. "Today marks the beginning of a new era," Director Kang announced. "No longer will any world be deemed too primitive for contact. No longer will knowledge be hoarded by the few. No longer will species face extinction while others watch from a distance." Kim looked around the chamber, seeing hope on faces from 1,000 different worlds. Earth, the planet once deemed too violent and unpredictable for contact, had transformed the galaxy not through force, but through a simple, powerful idea. That